What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Typical Cinematics podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our guilty movie pleasures. So, without further ado, let's get right into the show. Tyler, hit the music.
What is up, guys? Edgar, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's
Yeah.
a late night here, but we wanted to get this podcast out of the way, and we're going to do it. But
Yep.
without further ado, before we get into our guilty movie pleasures, let's run through some news.
Let's run through some news. Let's do it.
So this is the news from the past week. Basically, there wasn't a lot of stuff that went on. It's a lot of just reporting about specifics on movies and a lot of rumors. So without further ado, let's get into it. Keep
Okay.
saying that. I don't know why.
Well,
Uh,
it is without further ado that we're getting to it. Actually, the more we say it, it's with further ado. So we're kind of being counterproductive by saying that.
without further ado, let's get into the news.
All right.
All right. So, my first one here. JoeBlow.com is reporting, and this is a rumor,
Oh.
that Darth Vader is going to have a larger role than expected in Rogue One.
Ooh.
Specifics are not really given at the moment, which is to be expected. But, listening to this, it doesn't really surprise me at all. Does this surprise you at all or no?
I mean, I kind of expected him to be in this movie. I didn't really want many like Jedi or like any Sith in the new one, but I'm okay with it, and I half expected him to be in the movie, but it really depends on how big of a role we're talking here. Like, how big is a bigger role than expected?
Yeah, I don't want him to overshadow the other characters, like the main rebels.
Yeah,
The movie.
I like the idea of it just being like,
A looming threat.
yeah.
I want him to.
Like, if anything, I want to see him as much as we saw like the Emperor in the original trilogy. Like he's always like there, and like he's always, like you said, a looming threat, but we don't really have to deal with him very often.
Yeah. I didn't write this down, but I think somewhere in there I read that they were making like different suits for Darth Vader, like
What?
so that it's gonna be no like the same design, but it's gonna be like there's gonna be like a stunt suit so that he can actually move around
okay. Yeah.
more. Which if they do that, I'm very excited about that because I really want to see like the powerful Darth Vader who is just killing rebels left and right and just not the guy we saw in episode 4. He's standing in place and
Just
swinging.
womp,
Yeah, just
womp.
yeah. I want to see him like mow down. I want to see
Yeah.
him mow down people. So
Yeah.
moving on. In an interview with Empire Magazine, Jeremy Irons, who is playing Alfred in the upcoming Batman vs Superman, stated that his character does not live in Wayne Manor, but in a lakeside residence, and also that Alfred will be more hands-on with a special ops background.
Huh.
So, I'm really digging this.
That's interesting. Does he commute to work then? So he drives from the Lakeside Manor to...
I would assume so. Because from what we've seen in the trailer, Bruce Wayne does too. Like nobody's living in Wayne Manor, so
yeah,
I would assume that they're both living in that lakeside residence.
Oh, that's probably what it is.
But I'm loving that he has a special ops background and he's a little more hands-on. There was actually a picture of him and he's like building the tech suit for
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Wayne, and I don't know. I'm loving everything I'm
So
hearing.
he's okay. So let's look back on the like Batman movies we've seen as of late. So he's kind of like a mixture now of Alfred and that Lucius Fox guy.
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
Okay,
that's a
all
good way
right,
to put it. That's a good way to put it.
okay.
And
I like that. I like that.
I kind of like this because I'm kind of assuming now that he's not going to be like the old butler Alfred. Like he's not going to be like tending to everything that Bruce Wayne needs.
He's
He's going to be
definitely
like
not Michael Caine. Which I
my,
mean, okay, well, I don't want to
he
say
was a
that
good
like
he
it's
was
a
a good
bad thing.
Alfred.
Yeah, he was a good Alfred, but it like this one sounds more actiony, and I like that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see him beat some people up. I don't want him
Like,
to get in a suit, but maybe someone's attacking him and he, kicks the shit
well,
out of
or like someone's trying to break into wherever they're staying at, and he like fights them off or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't look that old. Like he does
Yeah, that's I noticed that in the trailer.
he looks like he's maybe in his like early 60s,
Yeah,
whereas Michael Caine looked like 20 or 30 years older than
Michael
what's his name?
Caine,
Christian Bale.
poor guy, looks like 100.
He's great though.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's really great.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Michael Caine, he won't be in this film anymore. He died in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Collider is reporting that Kingsman 2 will be filming in this summer. And this was actually in an interview with Taron Egerton. He said that Kingsman 2 will be filming in the summer and that the villain, there's going to be a bigger villain that rivals Samuel L. Jackson's character in the previous film. So, like, we're going to get a better villain, according to Taron Egerton. So, what do you think about that?
Did you like Samuel L. Jackson in that movie? Did you
I
like his character?
I loved
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson in
Okay,
that movie.
so if we're okay, now what does it mean by a better villain than him? Does it mean he's more evil, or does it mean he?
It's a good question. I've no idea, but it's a tall order to outdo what Samuel L. Jackson did in the previous film. So,
Yeah.
Because he was one of those villains where you kind of didn't want him to die, but then you kind of did.
It was like it. You find like yourself having this weird sympathy for him.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
And he was so hilarious in it.
I love the lisp.
Yes, I love it. I love the lisp, and I love how
he didn't like blood or whatever.
Yeah,
he, like,
that was a good one.
Yeah.
Like spoiler alert. When
if you haven't seen this movie by now, what are you doing?
Please go watch it.
Yeah.
At the end, he gets the little amputee, what's it called, leg through his chest.
Yeah.
And he looks down at it and just vomits because he can't stand the look of blood or whatever.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
But that's basically all the news I have.
All right.
We can get right into our.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about our guilty movie pleasures now. I already know, I knew from a long time ago one of ours was going to be the same. And so we both thought of two. And do you want to talk about the one we agree upon first, or do you want to go into the ones that we don't necessarily agree upon?
Well, okay, so we agree on one film together, and the other films that we picked are not just one film, they're actually
a series.
A series of films. Yeah. So I guess we could just do the series of films first and then end it off with
let's do that.
So you go first if you want.
Okay.
Say,
all right. My guilty movie or movie pleasures or movies, I guess, would be the prequels in the Star Wars series. Not a lot of people like the prequels, and
not a lot of people do.
And to be fair, I did think they were not great. I think they could have been way better, but I still love watching them, and I still like. I think there are great things about the prequels,
Yeah,
in
especially
my
Revenge of the
opinion.
Sith.
Yeah, like okay, let's bring up um, let's just compare it to the original trilogy then, if we're gonna go
Okay.
like that. Okay, in the prequels, we saw like enhanced choreography in lightsaber battles. That's like the number one thing I noticed for sure when I started watching them over again when the Force Awakens was coming back out, or when the Force Awakens was coming out.
Yeah.
Um, I think in Attack of the Clones, which everyone hated, I thought the awesome like mass like Jedi battle or whatever in it, I thought that was awesome.
That was nice. Yes, I will agree.
Hmm.
Even though that one's not my
Yeah, I mean
favorite.
that's what I'm saying. There are obviously some things that I can gripe about, but I think there are some good ones. I think it was cool that they showed that Yoda can fight.
Yes.
He's and he's obviously like the proven master at it. Um, I mean, I liked Mace Windu in there, Samuel L. Jackson making an appearance. I like Darth Maul. Darth Maul
I
was cool.
love
I
Darth
wish.
Maul.
Oh man, this is one of the things I can gripe about. Actually, I wish they would have had him on throughout the whole three prequels. I wish they had him in episode 1, 2, and 3. I think
Yeah, I mean, they did make a mistake by quote
killing him off
unquote
so
killing him
early.
off,
Hmm.
but in canon he's not officially dead.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
he did make an appearance in the Clone Wars animated series.
mm,
When I kind of hope they do bring his character back for maybe a Obi-Wan anthology film. That would be
that'd be really awesome.
fantastic.
Hmm.
But yeah, I did think they made a mistake with killing his character. Well, ending his arc in the prequels. It's kind of like the same thing. He was the Boba Fett of the prequels. A
Yeah,
really cool character that they just got rid of so quickly.
yeah. They just threw him into the Sarlacc pit, really.
Yeah, it
Um,
was a pit too.
it
It
really
was
was
like
a pit.
yeah, it
It was.
was like a pit.
It's like almost an exact comparison, you could
Hmm.
say. But anyways, uh, one of the other great things about the prequels was in Episode 3, the battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Not only that was awesome. That was great. But the music behind it, what was it like? What was it called? Duel of something. And I thought that was. I honestly think that's one of the best things, like from the prequels, was that piece right there.
Yeah,
Um, and honestly, I thought the casting was overall pretty good, uh, except for like I don't know.
I am not a Hayden Christensen hater.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I I actually loved him as young Anakin,
Hmm. See,
and
what they could have done to make the whole like story arc better was like in episode 1, he shouldn't have been so young.
yes, he should have been a teenager in the first movie,
Yeah,
then have him go into like young adulthood in the second one,
yeah.
and then I don't know, because it made the whole Padme and Anakin,
Weird. It made it so
yeah,
weird.
it made it weird because then
Uh-huh.
he's like what, like
10?
supposed to be like 10 years,
Yeah.
maybe like 8 or 9 years younger than her.
Yeah.
It's kind, I don't know, it just, and it didn't help with George Lucas writing those love scenes between the two.
Oh my gosh. Like one of
I
the
hate
one
I
of the
hate Sam.
yes,
I
that
hate it.
line. It gets
I hate
everywhere.
I hate them.
And then okay, and I guess obviously I was not a fan of the whole Jar Jar Binks thing, all the Gungans. I thought that was very dumb, but
Well, he
um
did. I don't really know how true this is, but I've heard that he based that character off of Goofy,
I could see that honestly.
and because he wanted to appeal to kids a little more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I did hear he wanted to appeal to like a younger audience, and he was put in as like comic relief.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was very necessary.
I mean, you should have learned your lessons from the Ewoks in
Yeah, really.
the Jedi.
Really. But
Uh, I'm really, I'm really opposed to that, but that's not has nothing to do with what we're talking about now. So
yeah.
you can continue. Go ahead.
Um yeah, I mean all of these things I've listed off are just some of the reasons that I really enjoyed the prequels and I mean yeah, I mean there are some dumb things about it and things they could have done better, but I mean if you
There's a lot of
look
other good scenes.
exactly. People
Like,
are always overlooking the good parts of the prequels, and they're always focusing on the negatives.
and just the way that everybody talks about how you know, he ruined Star. A lot of people say he ruined Star Wars with the prequels,
Hmm.
but he really didn't. He's not continuing the story, but making the story a little more sensible because he tied everything back to those three films perfectly.
Yeah.
I think he tied it in perfectly. And there is a video. I'm not remembering the name of it. It's on YouTube where they tie in the conversation between Luke and Obi-Wan in they in on Tatooine. They tie in that conversation that Obi-Wan is having, how he's describing
Oh
Anakin,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they tie it in with that scene
You
in
sent that
Revenge
to
of the
me.
Sith.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that. Oh
and it ties in
yes.
so perfectly,
Hmm.
just how everything that Obi-Wan's describing, it's happening um
As he's
in
saying it.
Revenge of the Sith. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's one part I love about Revenge of the Sith is after Anakin is dismembered, he he falls on the ground and he is just like a broken man. Like he literally, his best friend, he's screaming to him, "I hate you," and oh, it's that part gets me every time I watch the movie.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, I just think a lot of people don't give uh that movie
Enough credit.
enough credit. Yeah,
I agree.
and
I agree 100%.
so you wanted to add anything else or?
Uh, no, I think that's it. I think I made my point.
All right, so.
Well, what is your series?
Well, my series that I picked, I'm not sure if you're familiar with. They're basically the Final Destination movies. Those are that entire series is my guilty. They're my guilty movie pleasures.
I
Uh,
I have to admit I'm not very familiar with these movies.
have you seen any of them, or have you seen none of them?
I've seen one, but I can't remember. I remember like there being a racetrack and like the
Okay,
cars.
that's the fourth one.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, that's the fourth one.
that's the one I've
Uh,
seen then.
basically, the premise of these movies in every movie, it'll be in the first one, there's a plane. Second one, they're on a highway. Third one, they're at an amusement park on a roller
Roller
coaster.
coaster, yeah, I heard about
The
that.
fourth one is the racetrack, and the
Hmm.
fifth one is they're on a bridge.
Hmm.
And basically, what happens is there's always one character who will have a premonition of that very whether they're on a plane, the bridge, the roller coaster, whatever.
Hmm.
They have a premonition of everybody that's on that or with them. They have a premonition of everybody dying,
Hmm.
and so they basically say, "Oh my God, we got to get off." Blah 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 blah. A number of people will get off with them, wondering what's happening, and the premonition becomes true. And those people who got off are now um, they have cheated death, and now death is coming back to get them because they got away from it. And so basically, the whole film, all of these films, they die in the most mysterious and the weirdest ways, but it's so entertaining, and I love it.
Yeah.
Um, I remember the first time I watched, the first one I actually saw was the second movie, and I just remember, spoiler alert, there's one character who goes to the dentist, and it's his turn to die.
Right.
So the girl who had a premonition at the beginning of the film goes to like find him and say, "Hey, you're gonna die next" or whatever. He's on the in the dentist's office, and he's leaving, and he's escaped death twice already. Uh, Once on the highway, and then there's above him there was like a inflatable like little fish doll or whatever, and it managed to find itself in his mouth. Like it fell right in his mouth, and so he's
Ugh.
choking.
Yeah.
And so the dentist like saved him or whatever, and he's leaving, and a flock of birds just he tries to like shoo away a flock of birds, and a piece of glass just comes from the top and just crushes him, so he dies. And
Wow.
it's like some of the weirdest deaths
Yeah.
ever. And I remember that scene intrigued me so much that I was like, man, I gotta go find what this first movie was. And then by then they had already made three of them, so I
Right.
was
Yeah.
like, oh man, three movies, sweet. So I watched the first one, then I watched the third one, and the third one out of all five is my favorite. It's the roller coaster one.
Hmm.
By far, it's the best in my opinion. It's the best directed one. It's the best acted one, and the screenplay and the script and everything. Screenplay and script is almost the same thing. I said that, but anyway, everything about this movie is almost better than the other films.
Right.
4 and 5 kind of got a little too crazy.
Hmm.
4 they wanted to make like they wanted to make it like 3D almost. So
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, I do remember that.
yeah,
That was a big deal.
you had all these people like
In
dying
fact, I
in
think
ways like
I think I saw it in 3D, and it just gave me a headache, to be honest.
yeah.
That's one thing.
I
And sorry, I'm gonna go on a little tangent here,
No,
but
you go ahead. You go
I
ahead.
hate seeing movies in 3D.
Oh yeah,
I
3D.
it's
I don't see the
so
point.
it's so overrated, man. This isn't the 80s anymore. Like,
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. And it
yeah.
gives
Like
me a headache every single time I try and watch a 3D movie.
I know. Just make some holograms already.
Yeah, right? Let's do it.
That'd be
You
sick.
know what? You and me, let's work on that. We'll make, you know what? Everyone who's listening to this podcast right now, we started this first, okay?
It's our idea.
It's
Our
our
idea.
idea. You have it on record.
I'm gonna go get that patent in a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just feel like those Final Destination movies, I don't know what it is about them. A lot of people don't like them because they think, oh, they're too cheesy or the acting sucks. I could care less. Or I don't know. I couldn't care less about it because those movies, even though the fifth one might be one of the dumbest ones, it's still great. It's still great because it like ties into like the first one or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like I'm talking way too much about this
No,
series.
I feel like I mean, I don't know. I went on for a while about the prequels. You can have your time about Final Destination.
Yeah, you gotta watch these, dude. You
I think
gotta
I definitely will. I will go and watch these
like
ASAP.
some of them are I some of them are really bad.
Yeah.
Second one's not the best one. The
Yeah,
fourth
it's like the
of,
prequels then. The
yeah,
second one isn't the best one.
but the third one is by far, I think, the best out of all of them. So uh, that's enough for my
Okay.
Final Destination rant.
All right. Now, this one is by far my favorite guilty pleasure movie like of all time, and it is Nacho Libre.
Yes,
Okay,
Nacho
good.
Libre is.
Oh man,
I love this film so much.
I find myself quoting this movie like, oh man, constantly.
Yes,
And I'm looking at it right now. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 40.
40%.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know what IMDb gave it, but I mean, come
I t-
on.
yeah. I don't know. it didn't really appeal to a lot of people, even though it's one of Jack Black's best movies, in my opinion.
Besides School of
Besides
Rock.
School of Rock,
Yeah, okay,
yes,
good.
School of Rock and Tenacious D.
Yeah.
Um,
And
besides,
and uh actually no, because we're gonna do an episode about underrated comedies in the near future. So I think the one that I'm thinking of, I will just hold back on for now.
okay, okay.
Anyways, uh, what was Nacho Libre rated? Was it G or was it PG?
I think Nacho Libre was PG.
Yeah, it had to be. I
It's I don't know. It's by far one of the funniest movies that I've seen from my childhood and can
Yes,
still watch today and still laugh.
and maybe that's why I love it so much is because I did see it when I was relatively young.
Yeah.
But I mean, just some of the stuff on there, like I don't know. Do you not realize I've had diarrhea since Easter's?
Yeah.
Like
Just some of the quotes in it just get me. It's like I could watch the film
I could quote
30
the whole movie.
yeah, I could watch the film like over 300 times and I
Uh-huh.
could still laugh at every single
Yes,
one of those moments.
those eagle
Like,
eggs were a lie, Steven.
yes, I lie.
They had no
There's
powers. They had no
there's one
nutrients.
there's one scene in particular that always
Yeah, I
gets me
know
and my sister
exactly what you're
laughing.
talking about. Oh,
I I don't know. I don't
oh, maybe not.
you go
Okay, well, go ahead.
because it's one part that me and my sister always laugh at because when we were little, my sister she was really little whenever we watched the film for the first time,
Okay.
and she would always mimic the same part. And it's the part where there's a part where they're at their first fight,
Uh huh.
and Nacho is like looking into the crowd,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, send me a piece of that corn.
Yeah.
Send me a piece of that corn for later." It's that part.
My favorite scene, my favorite. Well, actually, okay. There's two of my favorite scenes, and it actually, I don't know if this counts as the same one, but anyways, it's when Esqueleto or whatever he comes up to Nacho and he's like, "Surprise!" and he's
Yes.
got the corn and then Nacho's just like, "Get that corn out of my face!"
Yeah,
And then
that's
all of a sudden they like see someone like slashing their tires or something, and then like he just throws
yes,
the corn and stabs him in the eye.
yes. Um,
Oh man, that movie is like it's so weird, but it's so funny.
yeah. I think
Oh,
two of my favorite parts are what Jack Black does in almost every single one of his movies. He always sings
oh
in
yes,
his movies, and two
yes.
parts in here he sings. The first part is I don't remember which one comes first. Oh wait, no, I think it's the one where he goes to the party. That's the one
Oh
that
yeah,
comes
I
first.
am singing
Yeah,
at the party.
he makes his way into the mariachi band and
Yes.
somehow gets into the party and is told to sing, and he's like off the cuff starts singing,
Yes.
and he like offends Ramses.
Yeah.
He's like he spills his wine all over and he goes, "That's my blouse."
Yeah.
You spilt the wine on my blouse or something like that. And then
Oh,
the second part he sings is when he I think it's
he's
like the
about to
second
fight.
last
He's
he's
about
a
to
last
fight Ramses. I think.
yeah, he's about to fight him, and he's like, when the fantasy has ended. I love that part
When the
so much.
fantasy has ended and all the children
Yes.
are gone.
Something good inside me helps me to carry on.
I ate some bugs. I ate some grass. I used my hand to wipe my tears.
That part, as a kid,
I died.
that
I
again,
died.
we joked about this in the last podcast where we don't really like that PG-13 kid humor,
Yeah.
but this humor in this film does it so right where I could watch this as an adult and still laugh.
I know they do it so well. They work with what they have, you know?
Yes.
I don't
And
know.
I want to say one of the guys who either directed it or wrote the film.
Nacho Libre was directed by Jared Hess.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Napoleon Dynamite,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah.
And then I think it was written by uh, is it Mike White? Is his name? He also wrote School of Rock, and he was the friend in School of Rock.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was the teeth the
Mr.
what's it called?
Schneebly.
Mr. Schneebly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they again, this film, when I first heard about it as a kid, I was like, I don't, what is this? Like, I don't know what this is. And then I watched it and immediately fell in love with it.
Okay, you know what? The reason, literally, the reason I went and saw this was because Nickelodeon was like a co-producer in this movie.
Yeah,
And
true.
I loved Nickelodeon growing up, so I was like, you know what? This is probably going to be a good movie. I'm going to tell my parents to go see this movie with me. And they
Yeah,
did. And even my parents love this movie. And they're old.
yeah. My dad loves this movie.
Yeah.
My
Well,
mom is like,
okay,
that
to be
movie's
fair.
dumb.
Yeah, to be fair, my mom probably does think it's dumb, but
Yeah,
I'm sure my dad loves it.
my dad loves it. My sister loves it.
Mhm.
It's it's one of those movies where you could just, flip it on at any time
Mhm.
and just have a great laugh. So, uh, with that said, that's basically our guilty movie pleasures of the
Mhm.
week, or as of right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into some more guilty movie pleasures as time goes on. This will definitely not be the last guilty movie
Oh
pleasures
yeah.
episode. There will be plenty more to come.
These are just
Uh,
some that we could think of.
on the spot.
Yeah.
Um, but so since we're done with that, I wanted to introduce a new segment of the show,
What?
Tyler,
New segment?
that we could possibly introduce if we could get people to start writing in.
Yeah.
This is basically a listener question.
Mhm.
Um, Again, listeners, if you would like to ask us a question, you can ask us that by tweeting us at tcinematic or send us an email. The email is tcinematics@gmail.com. Just you can send us an email there, or again, send us a tweet asking us a question, movie related, please.
Yeah.
Um,
We prefer the tweets
yes,
because that's easier to check, but obviously we do check email. We realize that's, the business communication like standards. So we will check that and everything. But
and that's also an easier way for if somebody has like a long question that
right.
they want
If
to
you
ask.
have a long question with like a huge explanation and everything behind it, go ahead and send in an email. I'm not saying don't send in an email, but go ahead and tweet
We
at us.
we
It's
want
fine.
to we want to hear from you guys. We want
Yeah.
to hear some questions. We want to be a little more interactive with
Yeah.
you guys. So, without further ado,
Dang it, Edgar, you're
here's
just making more ado.
here is the question for the week. This is um, from a close friend of ours.
Oh.
He asks, "What, in your opinion, what will be the biggest movie bust of 2016?"
Hmm. Biggest bust of 2016. Well, Edgar, I think I have one in mind right now.
Okay, you could go ahead.
Uh, Gods of Egypt.
All right, that's a good pick.
I remember when we were actually this was when we saw The Force Awakens. That was the
Yes,
first time I saw a trailer for it, and I was like, "What the heck did I
I
just?"
think I think that was the first trailer that they played, and we literally after it played, we were like, "What the hell was that?
it
What?"
was. It looked so like I don't know. It looked like they were trying to make a superhero set, like a superhero movie set in ancient Egypt,
Yeah,
and I was not buying it. Like, there's so much CGI like BS going on in
and
there.
not good
Not even
CGI.
good CGI. That's the thing.
Yeah,
It looked like, uh, well, I don't know. Uh, in my opinion, I think that's going to be a huge flop. I'm sure people will go see it, but it's it's likely going to suck. I would not spend money on it.
yep. I know I'm not. So,
Yeah.
my pick is it may be a little controversial. But you know what? I really don't care. So, my pick for biggest movie bust of 2016 is going to be Warcraft.
Okay.
I think not that the movie's going to suck. It may very well suck, but who's going to be the judge of that as of right now? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
What I think is going to happen, I don't think that this movie looks like it cost a fortune.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be able to make back a big enough profit to.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, my opinion on how people are going to react to the Warcraft movie, it's going to be, there's not going to be an in-between. I mean, even for Star Wars, you have people who love it, you have people who hate it, but even in Star Wars, you have people who are kind of in the middle, like, it's all right. No, with Warcraft, I have a feeling there is no fence, or like there is a fine boundary, and you're either for it or you're against it.
You either love it or you hate it.
And who knows? Like, I don't know how big the Warcraft community is. I don't know how big. I mean, I've heard a lot of people play it. Obviously, I never played it, and I'm sure if I did play it, I would probably enjoy it a little bit. But I don't know. I think if you played it and you like to play it, then you're gonna love the movie, mainly because of that. And if you don't play it, you're probably gonna be lost and confused and just not really a fan of the movie. And like you said, I think you made a really good point. It looks expensive. It looked like it costed a lot of money to make, and I don't think they can make that money back.
Practically everything in the film is CGI.
Yeah, it's all animated.
It doesn't look like there's anything practical. Like,
and to be fair, I think it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. Yeah,
but I feel like I'd be lost in it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm gonna wait to. I'm gonna reserve my judgment as in regards of how the film, like, what I think the film will be. I'm gonna wait for another trailer.
Yeah.
But I do think, I feel as of right now, I feel like if you don't know the story, like, or like the background of the game and everything, I think you're gonna be lost as of right now. Because watching that trailer, I was like, okay, who are these guys?
Yeah, I had no
clue. What's going on here? Yeah. And I'm really not like that. Like, I can really adapt to new movies and everything.
I can kind of figure things out, you know. But this one, I really did feel lost in it.
I was like, man, what's going on here? Because I got their orcs and humans, but I didn't know where the humans originated. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with them or what's going on with these orcs or whatever. But, you know, I mean, that's my pick. I just feel like it's way too damn expensive to make a big enough profit.
Yeah, I feel like, you know what? I feel like both of our picks are valid. It's just who's going to be the bigger one. And, you know what? This is a good, I feel like this is a good idea to have the listeners tweet in who you think is going to be the biggest, or what movie you think is going to be the biggest flop of 2016. And if you agree with one of us, go ahead and say, hey, I agree with Tyler. Hey, I agree with Edgar. And just let us know. Give us some feedback. Is there anything else we need to discuss? I think we've pretty much covered it all.
No, just that next week we are planning to do a episode about underrated comedies, or our favorite underrated comedies. We apologize. I had said earlier in the last podcast that we would possibly do a Marvel versus DC debate, but we're saving that for later on down the road. We got some big stuff going on, so
yes, big
we're gonna
news. We want to tell you it, but we can't yet. So just hold on to your horses, and we will come out with a big announcement pretty soon here in the near future. Well, I think now is as good a time as any to do our, world famous outros.
All right. So, guys, basically, follow us on Twitter at tcinematic. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube at The Typical Cinematics. Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, like you said, just follow us on the social medias and have a great week. We'll see you on Tuesday, fellas. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was a nice...